Hello everybody, welcome back. So let's have a look at XRP and obviously Bitcoin, because Bitcoin dictates the market. With this halving event coming along and golden crosses and all these other things, we're going to need to look at Bitcoin, but the focus is going to be on XRP. We've got kind of mixed signals going on with XRP, some looking quite good for the very short term, but for the long term not quite so good. We'll go into those in a little detail now anyway. And for those who watch this channel, you'll notice that normally I have a little screen, a little video of myself here in the corner. I've decided to take that off today because I've got two kids, run down, and I've noticed people have said to me yesterday that I look tired. So there's absolutely no reason for you to stare at my tired face. I kind of look a little bit like the guy from Scream at the moment, so there's no need to stare at me doing that. It'll just it'll just frighten you, and there's no need to see that. So let's have a look then, shall we? So first of all, let's start with Bitcoin just to get an idea of what's going on. So Bitcoin's chart looking extremely bullish. Bearing in mind we've got 70% dominance at the moment, so whatever Bitcoin decides to do, it's basically going to carry everything else with it. But with it being 70% dominant, it would be very unlikely for top caps to make any large break, anything bigger, more significant really than Bitcoin. And basically in the next few days we do have a golden cross kicking in on the daily. We also have the halving event, which is, I would say, has definitely been priced in. So this is the Corona crash. We have basically lifted from there massively, as has almost all cryptocurrency. Now they've all doubled. Some have tripled, some have quadrupled, and Bitcoin is somewhere in between all of that. But when you think about the amount of money that's poured into Bitcoin, it's still a pretty good effort for it to have gone from that low to this high. So normally if you were to see a chart like this, there's a few things you've got to bear in mind. First of all, you look at the moving averages. We're way above all major moving averages, which is really good. You've got to have a look at the MACD, which is still very bullish, very nice indeed. It looks like it's starting to curve in a little bit as of today, because this is our second day in the red, which is fine. There's no problem at all really. The RSI is a little concerning. We get an 80 read there. If we go back in time, yeah, we can do 80. We can go further than that. We generally go to about 88 before we collapse, 88.5, 89. So it would suggest that the halving will still cause a pump. There's no reason why it wouldn't cause a pump. Everyone's waiting for it. Everybody's going to be pulling the trigger at the same time for that pump. So we probably will still get that pump. But will the pump take us? Where is it going to take us? Well, let's have a quick little look at what happened recently when we got these reads. So here we had a mark of 80 at this point here. Price action at that time being 10,000. We made our way all the way up to 14,000. So that's an idea of the last time we found ourselves on an 80 read, reaching up to peak at the 87.5 read and making a significant amount of gains, 29, almost 30%. So it's very likely that the halving can cause an enormous spike, but then with a spike going up, you're probably going to see one going down, which is exactly what happened here. So I'm not saying that we're going to find a replica of this move, but I would not be surprised in any way if there was a move similar to that. That is the situation with Bitcoin basically. Looking pretty high on the RSI, but plenty of room still to move, plenty of FOMO room. RSI and FOMO don't really go together. The RSI can be as high as it likes. FOMO is going to keep it going. All I'm saying is that when it does get to that 88 read or higher, perhaps there's no reason why it couldn't get higher. We are on the eve of a halving event. It could get higher. It will have to cool off significantly, and there's only two ways it's going to cool off. One, which will be trading sideways, which I kind of find very unlikely after FOMO, which this is FOMO by the way, especially this last couple of weeks has been FOMO. It's not likely to trade sideways after such an amount of FOMO. What is more likely is going to happen is that we will come crashing back down, and there will be bounces, and it will look similar to this, or similar to this, when there was the last epic FOMO, where we did find our reading at a 94, you see, at this level here. So like I say, RSI and FOMO, they don't make a great deal of sense when you look at them together. So when people say that yes, the RSI is high, it can't go much higher, it certainly can, and like I say, they don't go hand in hand. This is a daily chart, by the way. We could be reaching 14, we could reach 16, we could even reach 20,000 dollars per Bitcoin after this halving, but cause and effect. What's going to happen is that there will be a dump afterwards, and probably, in my opinion, a significant, reasonably prolonged downtrend as a result of this FOMO. Anyway, that's Bitcoin for you. Let's have a look at XRP, which is basically what this video is about. So we're going to start with the sats. So the sats, you don't need me to tell you that when you look at the sats and XRP, it's not looking very good at all, is it? It's looking really bad. We're 10 times down from where we were on our massive boost, where I have to say I went in blindly with XRP on this one back here, and I didn't sell at the top, clearly. I sold around about this level here, which was still good for me. But we've never, ever even tried, and especially recently, to even make our way close to these levels again. So, what am I looking at here? There's a few things to look at. First of all, RSI is extremely low on this, and it's not even making higher highs really. It's trending low, it's staying low. The MACD is low, and it looks like it's making a negative cross to the down on the weekly chart we're on here, by the way. We're trending beneath this big, long, persistent Ichimoku cloud, which we've not even come up to test. We're beneath all major moving averages. It's looking pretty bad, and actually, if you go back in time, all the way back to this level here, so this would have been an epic time to have shorted this, because we had generally what you want to do with an itchy cloud is you want to either buy or sell or short the market when you get an itchy cloud conversion over baseline cross on a long-term time frame. So this time frame was a weekly. This would have been a signal to go short on it, or at least get out of your positions, and this has been going on and on and on and on for all this time. So when did this happen? This was on the 25th of March, so this is over a year ago now, and we've been trending down ever since then, and we've not even tried to make a positive cross, and it looks like we're going down even further, making essentially brand new lows here, not all-time lows, but brand new lows on the sats. Pretty bad. So until we get across to the up, I wouldn't be confident in buying this for a long-term hodl, because there's no reason to suggest that there's any change in trend on the long-term time frame. This is on sats, by the way. That could all change. So let's have a look at how this looks on the weekly with XRP or with Tether. So Tether, it doesn't look as bad, but it is pretty bad. We recently made a brand new low for this chart anyway. Obviously, we only really chart this on Binance, so for this chart specifically, we've made a brand new low after that Corona crash. So we've bounced, we've gone over 100%, which is great. We're at 120% that we've made from that bounce. And one thing that we've got in our favour is that there is this descending trend line that we've been stuck beneath. We've not been able to break out of here for over 2 years. We did break out very briefly before this crash took place, and it was a nice move, but it was rejected at 34 cents. That move, I made a video about this one, and we did cash in on this one, but we didn't short it, or I didn't short it. I didn't suggest short. I'm not a financial advisor, by the way. This isn't financial advice. It's just me interpreting the charts for you. But I did think that there was a chance that we would try this again, and we didn't. And obviously, this whole situation that we're in right now, this global financial situation happened, which did not help this at all. What I wanted to see is us test this descending trend as support, which we were doing. We tested it here, but we did break down from it, as did absolutely everything in the world break down from it. Now what's happened is we've broken above it again, and we got our run from that, which is a video I made last week when this was about to happen. So I think I made a video. I might not have done. I've got a Telegram group. I definitely mentioned it in the Telegram group. But this is the reason why we traded this. We saw we broke above here, and we made a run. I think it was a 20% move there. Let's just test that out from top to bottom. 20%. So that was a nice little move. We got out of that, but we couldn't take it. I'm waiting for it to come back down to test this level here. So I'm looking for it to perhaps maybe come back down to test 19 cents. And if we do test 19 cents, it would be a chance for me to buy it back up again for another bounce, because we like we were doing here, testing this descending trend, which we were stuck beneath for over 2 years, turning it into a support level, even though it's descending, which is not good. We'd rather it be an uptrend, but it's not, it's descending. But if we can test it again, that would be great. Unfortunately, what we've had during this situation here is a negative cross on the Ichimoku cloud on the daily chart, on the weekly chart, which means that this is likely to cause a downtrend, unfortunately, for a prolonged period of time, just as we saw one on this cross here. So this is the last time it happened on the weekly on the Sats, and we've been downtrending ever since. And this is when we had it just recently with XRP, which was about a month back. And there's no time projection. I can't tell you that it's going to continue going down all this time, for years or whatever. The Ichi cloud doesn't do that. But what it does tell you is that there has been a cross here, so there's likely to be a downtrend from this point forward. Now we haven't had that because we bounced above this area here, this descending trend. So there's conflicting information here, conflicting signals. There was a short-term signal to buy here because we came up above it, just like what we saw when we came above it here. Short-term signal. I'm waiting for it to come back down. If we can come back down to test this level here, I might buy it back for a quick scalp. But if it fails, then we will be stuck beneath the downtrend again, and the downtrend is likely to turn to resistance because the Ichi cloud suggests that it will, and the Sats does not look good either. What I am expecting, like I say, with this FOMO with Bitcoin, is that there will be a giant crash. And when you've got a Sats chart that looks like this, when you get a crash with Bitcoin, you're going to crash all the market. You're going to crash pretty much every coin, and they will come down more than Bitcoin most of the time. The majority of coins will, because they're essentially amplifiers of Bitcoin's moves. So if Bitcoin's healthy, some of these coins can move 20-30% in a day. Doesn't mean that they're stronger than Bitcoin, but it does mean that they amplify Bitcoin's moves. If they go down with Bitcoin, they amplify the moves. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you this. You'll have seen this if you've been in the space for more than a month or two. You'll have just seen how things move. What I'm telling you now is that with the long-term projection for XRP currently, unless we can stay above this descending trend and this Ichi cloud quickly reverses, it does not look good. And as I'm expecting a FOMO and then a giant dump and perhaps a prolonged downtrend for Bitcoin after the halving for maybe a couple of months or more, I am expecting a long-term downtrend with XRP because we're just not a very strong chart, unfortunately. Let's have a look at the daily, see how the daily looks. So with the daily, we've actually got a kind of a conflicting short-term projection with the Ichi cloud anyway. So we had a positive cross here, meaning that we will have temporary uptrend. But we are now having our conversion line facing not steeply, but not nicely, negatively down. So if this crosses here, then it would be over. That would be the short term and the long term Ichi cloud crosses. I might even be quite wary of buying at this descending trend for the bounce if that were to happen. If we were to get this cross, this Ichi cloud cross on the daily, before we get to test this descending trend, I'll probably stay away from it. Let's have a look at the RSI for fun. So RSI is in a nice comfortable position, but the MACD looks like it wants to go negative sometime soon unless we can pump for a little longer, but it does look very weak. It looks pretty weak. So for me, it's a very difficult coin to trade at this moment in time. There are certain signals that you can get, like I said, with this one here and this one here, where it's very low risk, high reward, because it's an obvious thing for it to do. So you break above this descending trend, you should at least get a 10 or 15% move out of it within a day or two. But other than that, it looks like it's tailing off now, and given the fact that we've got a bearish setup with Sats, a long-term bearish setup with Sats, and we're about to have probably, like I say, in my book, a FOMO and then a crash, a significant crash with Bitcoin after the halving. I think we probably better leaving this one alone for a little while. This isn't an area to be buying or shorting at, because with Bitcoin about to do this halving, XRP might find a pump with USDT, but it might find itself just completely underperforming. Your money would be better off in somewhere else, and the risk involved is very high to me, because if Bitcoin gets punished XRP is going to get punished too. With a chart of sats that looks quite like this at the moment, there's nothing bullish about that. There's very little bullish about this chart as well, but there are certain signals that we can go on. They haven't yet kicked in yet, but when they do, XRP is always a good coin to trade with when those signals kick in, because they almost always work out well. Like I say, very low risk, high reward for the very short term pumps. And who knows, we might find ourselves recovering all the way up to our all-time high. But at the moment, we don't have anything on the long-term projection to suggest that we will. So for the moment, like I say, for all those who love XRP, and I do like it, I do like XRP, I like it quite a lot. It made me quite a significant amount of money back here. But since then, it's not really done much at all. So I'm going to leave that with you there. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more, and have a nice evening.